There is a voice inside you that has been silenced for too long. A voice that whispers, "You are made for more." Most people ignore it. They bury it under fear, excuses, and distractions. They settle for drifting through life, living small, never touching the greatness they were born with. But the truth is undeniable. You were not created to drift. You were created to decide, to rise, to transform. Napoleon Hill spent his life proving that success is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not privilege. Success is the result of law. The law of success is universal, unchanging, and available to anyone who dares to apply it. And the first step is always the same: desire. Hill wrote, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Not weak desire, not casual wishes, but burning desire. Desire so strong that it consumes your mind, drives your actions, and refuses to die in the face of failure. Without burning desire, you will quit. With it, you become unstoppable. But desire alone is not enough. It must be married to faith. Faith is the ability to see the unseen, to believe in the invisible, to hold on to the vision when reality gives you no evidence. Faith is the voice that says, 'It is already yours, persist until it arrives.' And here lies the secret. Faith is not something you are born with. It is something you build. You build faith through repetition, through autosuggestion, through feeding your subconscious mind with affirmations, visions, and gratitude until it accepts your destiny as fact. Once your subconscious believes, your life begins to align. But this is where most people fail. They quit too soon. They let fear dominate their thoughts. They drift. They surrender to excuses. They abandon their dreams inches from gold. Hill discovered that the difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not talent. It is persistence. Persistence is the bridge between desire and achievement. Persistence means you rise after defeat. You act in spite of fear. You keep moving when results are invisible. Persistence is ordinary in the moment, but extraordinary in its result. It is the quiet habit of refusing to quit, and over time, it transforms dreams into reality. And yet, persistence must have fuel. That fuel is purpose. Without purpose, persistence collapses. Without a burning why, you'll not endure pain. But when your purpose is clear, when you know who you are and why you must rise, no obstacle can stop you. This is why Hill insisted that definiteness of purpose is the foundation of all success. Purpose gives direction to desire, strength to faith, and endurance to persistence. Purpose makes the difference between drifting and destiny. And here is the truth. The law of success is not theory. It is law. It works whether you believe in it or not, whether you use it or not. If you think fear, you attract fear. If you think faith, you attract victory. If you drift, you lose. If you decide, you win. The law does not bend for anyone. It responds to everyone. So ask yourself now, what do I desire? Do I believe it with faith? Am I persisting daily? Is my purpose clear? Because your future is being written in this moment, by your thoughts, your decisions, your persistence. You're not a victim of fate. You are the architect of destiny. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the right moment, waiting for permission, waiting for conditions to be perfect. And in waiting, they waste the one thing they can never recover: time. Napoleon Hill warned us that indecision is one of the greatest enemies of success. It is the breeding ground of fear, the root of drifting, the silent killer of dreams. Think about it. How many opportunities have been lost because someone hesitated? How many lives were never lived because fear disguised itself as caution? How many people died with their dreams still buried inside them because they refused to decide? Decision is power. Decision is the act of reclaiming control over your destiny. Decision says, I will not drift. I will not wait. I will not surrender. This is my path. This is my purpose. This is my destiny. And the moment you decide, everything changes. Your subconscious receives the command. Infinite intelligence responds. Opportunities begin to appear that were always there, but invisible until your mind was focused. People come into your life seemingly by chance. Doors open where there were once walls. strength rises where there was once weakness. The world responds to a made-up mind. But decision without persistence is fragile. Anyone can decide in a moment of inspiration. But only the few persist when inspiration fades, when struggle begins, when results are delayed. That is why Hill taught that persistence is the ultimate test of decision. Persistence is decision lived out daily. It is saying yes to your purpose again and again, even when your emotions scream no. It is rising when you are tired, acting when you feel discouraged, moving when the world doubts you. Persistence proves your faith. Persistence proves your desire. Persistence proves you are serious. And this is where most people fail, not because they lack talent, but because they lack persistence. They give up too soon. They let temporary defeat convince them it is permanent failure. They mistake delay for denial. They forget that the darkest night comes just before the dawn. But you cannot afford to forget. You must persist until the harvest comes. Persist until the door opens. Persist until fear surrenders. Persist until your dream becomes reality. Because persistence always wins, not instantly, not easily, but inevitably. Yet persistence does not survive on willpower alone. It must be fueled by purpose. Without purpose, the fire burns out. Without a clear why, you will crumble under pressure. But when your purpose is larger than your pain, nothing can stop you. Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice, courage to face fear, and strength to endure struggle. And here lies the secret. Purpose tied only to yourself will fade. But purpose tied to service, to lifting others, to impacting lives, to leaving a legacy, becomes unstoppable. Because then quitting is no longer just betraying yourself. It is betraying everyone your success would inspire. This is why legacy matters. Legacy is not what you leave when you die. It is what you live while you are here. Legacy is built in decisions, in persistence, in daily faith. Legacy is built when your purpose is greater than your comfort, when your mission is stronger than your excuses, when your vision is more important than your fear. Napoleon Hill's teachings remind us of this truth. Success is not only about wealth, it is about impact. Wealth may come, but it is a byproduct of living with purpose, faith, and persistence. The true measure of success is not how much you gain, but how many lives you change, how many people you inspire, how much stronger the world is because you lived. So I ask you again, what will you decide? Will you drift into mediocrity, or will you persist into destiny? Will you live small, or will you live with purpose? Will you let fear win, or will you rise in faith? Because the choice is not tomorrow. The choice is not someday. The choice is now. There will come a moment in your journey when everything inside you screams to quit. The dream feels too far away. The obstacles feel too heavy. The silence feels unbearable. That moment is the crossroads where most people surrender. They tell themselves, it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I was foolish to try. Maybe I should settle for less. But Napoleon Hill revealed the truth. Temporary defeat is never failure. Temporary defeat is life's way of testing your faith, your persistence, your commitment to your purpose. It is the universe asking, how badly do you want this? Will you keep going when there is no applause, no evidence, no reward? Yet, most people fail this test. They stop too soon. They walk away inches from victory. They abandon their dreams on the threshold of breakthrough. But those who persist, those who keep moving when everything says stop, those are the ones who rise into greatness. Persistence is the difference. It is the invisible line that separates the dreamers from the doers, the drifters from the creators, the ordinary from the extraordinary. Persistence is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, consistent. It is waking up early, staying late, choosing discipline over distraction, choosing faith over fear, choosing action over excuses. Think of water carving through rock. It does not succeed through force. It succeeds through persistence. Day after day, drop after drop, it wears away stone and reshapes the landscape itself. Your persistence works the same way. Each small action may seem insignificant, but together, Over time, they create transformation. But here is what makes persistence powerful. It builds character. Each time you rise after failure, your courage grows. Each time you act in spite of fear, your faith deepens. Each time you refuse to quit, your identity changes. Persistence is not just something you do, it becomes who you are. And once persistence becomes identity, quitting is no longer an option. You no longer ask, will I succeed? You know success is inevitable because you will never stop until it arrives. Failure becomes feedback. Delay becomes training. Struggle becomes preparation. Nothing is wasted because persistence transforms everything into progress. But persistence is not sustained by willpower alone. It must be fueled by vision and purpose. When you have a burning vision of who you want to become and a deep purpose for why you must become it, persistence becomes natural. You no longer need external motivation. You no longer need permission. You are driven from within, unstoppable from within. Faith multiplies this power. Faith whispers, it is already done. Keep going. Faith allows you to act boldly even when the evidence is invisible. Faith keeps your eyes on the vision instead of the obstacles. And with faith, persistence transforms from struggle into certainty. This is why Napoleon Hill warned against drifting. Drifting destroys persistence. The drifter lets emotions decide, lets fear control, lets circumstances dictate. But the non-drifter, the one with purpose, faith, and persistence, decides daily to persist. And decision repeated daily creates destiny. So when the test comes, and it will, when you feel like quitting, remember, you are closer than you think. The struggle is proof you are moving forward. The silence is proof you are building strength. The delay is proof you are being prepared. Do not quit. Persist one more day. Take one more step. Speak one more word of faith. Act one more time. Because your breakthrough may be waiting just beyond the moment you refuse to quit. The battlefield of life is not outside of you. It is inside your mind. Every victory is won first in thought. Every defeat begins with belief. Napoleon Hill revealed this simple but profound truth. Your thoughts are seeds, and your mind is fertile soil. Whatever you plant, whether faith or fear, abundance or scarcity, persistence or doubt, will grow and multiply until it becomes your reality. Most people never take control of this process. They allow their thoughts to drift, and in drifting, they plant weeds. Fearful news, critical voices, negative self-talk. These become the seeds that dominate the subconscious. And because the subconscious accepts everything given to it, those seeds grow into habits, decisions, and circumstances that keep people trapped in mediocrity. But you're not powerless. Hill taught that through autosuggestion, you can deliberately plant the seeds of faith, desire, and purpose. Autosuggestion is not mere positive thinking. It is the intentional repetition of affirmations, the vivid visualization of your vision, the daily programming of your subconscious until it accepts your destiny as fact. Once the subconscious accepts a thought, it works day and night to bring it into reality. It influences your actions, awakens your intuition, sharpens your awareness, and attracts people and opportunities aligned with your belief. This is the true law of attraction. Not passive wishing, but active alignment between thought, belief, and persistence. But here lies the danger. If you do not choose your thoughts, someone else will. Society, media, even well-meaning friends and family will feed you seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation. If you are passive, your mind becomes a dumping ground for negativity. If you are intentional, your mind becomes a garden of abundance. The choice is always yours. This is why Hill warned against drifting and outwitting the devil. Drifting is surrendering your mind to outside forces. Drifting is failing to decide your purpose, failing to discipline your thoughts, failing to persist in faith. The drifter lives by accident, a prisoner of fear. The creator lives by design, a master of thought. And here is the secret. The subconscious does not distinguish between reality and imagination. If you visualize your success vividly, if you affirm your purpose passionately, If you persist in feeling gratitude as though your dream is already real, your subconscious accepts it. And once it accepts it, your life begins to shift to match it. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude trains your subconscious to expect abundance. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to plenty, from fear to faith. Gratitude tells your mind, I already live in blessing. And because your subconscious believes it, it attracts more reasons to be grateful. But repetition alone is not enough. Your affirmations must be fueled by emotion. Cold, mechanical words do not move the subconscious. But words spoken with fire, with desire, faith, passion, penetrate deeply. Emotion gives thought power. Desire gives thought persistence. Faith gives thought substance. When all three combine, your subconscious cannot resist. And once your subconscious is aligned, persistence becomes effortless. Quitting stops being an option because your mind already believes success is inevitable. Every action feels natural. Every sacrifice feels worthwhile. Every setback feels temporary. This is the mindset of the unstoppable, the one who refuses to drift, refuses to quit, refuses to live small. So ask yourself today, what seeds am I planting? Am I feeding my subconscious with faith or fear, with purpose or doubt, with gratitude or complaints? Because your life today is already the harvest of yesterday's thoughts, and your future will be the harvest of today's. Choose wisely. Plant faith. Plant gratitude. Plant purpose. Persist daily, and you will reap abundance. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has walked through the fire of failure. Not once, not twice, but again and again. Failure is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is the refining fire that shapes character, strengthens persistence, and sharpens vision. And yet, most people fear failure more than they fear a wasted life. They would rather avoid the possibility of defeat than embrace the opportunity for growth. Napoleon Hill taught us that temporary defeat is never permanent failure unless you accept it as such. He explained that many quit when success was just beyond the next effort, the next attempt, the next act of persistence. They stopped too soon. They surrendered too early. They allowed failure to define them instead of refine them. But the few who persist, the few who rise again after defeat, discover the truth. Every failure contains within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. If you look closely, failure is feedback. It tells you what doesn't work so that you can discover what does. It exposes weaknesses so you can build strength. It strips away illusions so you can focus on what really matters. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb, but he never called them failures. He called them lessons. Each one carried him closer to the goal. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who lost election after election before becoming one of history's most enduring leaders. Or Henry Ford, who went bankrupt before creating an empire. Their greatness was not in avoiding failure, but in persisting through it. Hill compared persistence to the carbon in steel. Just as carbon transforms iron into something strong and unbreakable, persistence transforms character into something indestructible. Without persistence, character is fragile, easily broken by setbacks. With persistence, character is unshakable, hardened by adversity, refined by struggle. But persistence is not built in comfort. It is built in resistance. Each setback is an opportunity to practice persistence. Each rejection is a chance to rise stronger. Each delay is an invitation to deepen faith. The more you persist, the more persistence becomes your nature. And when persistence becomes identity, quitting is no longer an option. This is why purpose matters so deeply. Without purpose, failure feels fatal. Without a burning why, persistence collapses. But when you have purpose, every defeat becomes part of the mission. Pain becomes preparation. Delay becomes discipline. Struggle becomes strength. Purpose transforms every obstacle into fuel for your journey. And faith magnifies this transformation. Faith whispers, this is not the end. This is the path. Keep going. Faith reminds you that the vision already exists in the unseen. and your job is to persist until it appears in the visible. Faith allows you to rise with confidence even when the evidence is invisible. So do not fear failure. Fear quitting. Quitting is the only true failure. As long as you persist, defeat is temporary. As long as you persist, rejection is redirection. As long as you persist, struggle is shaping you. Remember this truth. The moment you feel most like quitting is often the moment just before breakthrough. Many of life's greatest victories are won by the one who refuses to quit one step too soon. So when failure comes, and it will look at it with new eyes. See it as a teacher, not a tormentor. See it as training, not tragedy. See it as the forge that is shaping you into someone capable of holding the destiny you are chasing. Declare with persistence, I will not quit. I will not drift. I will rise again. I will persist until I win. Because in the end, persistence always wins. There's a force inside you that is stronger than any obstacle, greater than any fear, and more enduring than any failure. That force is purpose. Purpose is what gives persistence its fire, what gives faith its strength, what gives decision its clarity. Without purpose, people drift. With purpose, they rise. Napoleon Hill declared that definiteness of purpose is the foundation of all achievement. He saw it again and again. The individuals who accomplished extraordinary things were not always the smartest, the wealthiest, or the most privileged. They were the ones who knew exactly what they wanted, why they wanted it, and refused to quit until it was achieved. Purpose is power. When your why is strong enough, you can endure anyhow. Pain becomes meaningful. Sacrifice becomes sacred. Delay becomes training. Obstacles become stepping stones. With purpose, nothing is wasted. Without it, even small struggles feel unbearable. But purpose does not appear by accident. It is chosen. It is decided. Most people never define theirs. They allow others to dictate their path. They live in jobs they hate, routines they resent, lives they never consciously chose. They trade their destiny for comfort and drift into mediocrity. But the one who decides his purpose, who writes it down, who speaks it daily, who burns it into his subconscious, that person becomes unstoppable. Because purpose fuels desire, anchors faith, and strengthens persistence. Decision is the spark that activates purpose. Hill reminded us that successful people decide quickly and firmly, and change slowly if at all. Indecision is drifting. It tells the subconscious that you are uncertain, and uncertainty weakens faith. But decision declares certainty. It commands the subconscious, this is my direction, this is my mission, this is who I am. Once you decide, your subconscious begins working in harmony with infinite intelligence. Ideas flow. Opportunities appear. People come into your life at just the right moment. It feels like coincidence, but it is law. Purpose plus decision plus persistence creates power. And power is not force. Power is alignment. Power is the concentration of thought, faith, and action toward a single goal. Most people scatter their energy on distractions, doubts, and conflicting desires. That is weakness. But when you align every thought, every word, every action with your purpose, you generate power. Power attracts. Power inspires. Power multiplies. Hill also revealed that the greatest purposes are not selfish. A selfish goal may ignite desire for a season, but it burns out when difficulty comes. But when your purpose is connected to service, to impact, to leaving a legacy, your persistence gains unstoppable strength. Because quitting is no longer just betraying yourself. It is betraying those you are meant to serve, inspire, and lead. This is why legacy matters. Legacy is not what you leave when you die. Legacy is what you live each day. It is the persistence you show when others quit. It is the faith you demonstrate when others doubt. It is the courage you embody when others drift. Legacy is the proof that you lived with purpose. And this is what Napoleon Hill ultimately wanted us to understand. Wealth is only one measure of success. The real measure is impact. How many lives you touch, how much faith you inspire, how deeply you live your purpose. Success without purpose is hollow. But success with purpose creates power, fulfillment, and legacy. So ask yourself, what is my purpose? Have I defined it clearly? Have I written it down? Do I speak it daily? Do I persist in it, even when life resists me? Do not wait for clarity to magically appear. Decide, define, declare, and persist. Because once your purpose is clear and your decision is made, no obstacle can stop you. Purpose is not just an idea. It is your power. The law of attraction has been misunderstood by millions. People have reduced it to shallow, wishful thinking. If I just imagine something, it will appear. But Napoleon Hill revealed a deeper, more powerful truth. The law of attraction is not about idle daydreaming. It is about alignment. You do not attract what you casually want. You attract what you are. Your dominant thoughts, your deepest emotions, your persistent actions. These form the vibration of your being. And life responds to that vibration. When your thoughts are filled with fear, you attract fear. When your heart is consumed by doubt, you attract obstacles that confirm it. But when your mind is filled with faith, gratitude, and persistence, you attract opportunities that align with your vision. Hill taught that thoughts are not powerless. Thoughts are things, he said. They carry energy. They shape your subconscious. They direct your actions. And when mixed with faith and persistence, they become magnets that pull into your life the very conditions you dwell upon. But here is the warning. The law always works. If you think scarcity, you will live in scarcity. If you think abundance, you will live in abundance. If you drift, you will attract mediocrity. If you persist, you will attract destiny. The law does not choose sides. It multiplies what you give it. This is why autosuggestion is the master key. By repeating affirmations with emotion, by visualizing your dream with intensity, by impressing your subconscious daily, you program yourself for victory. The subconscious cannot resist what is repeated with burning desire. Once it accepts the vision, it works day and night to align your life with it. But attraction without action is delusion. Hill warned that drifting disguised as waiting is one of the devil's greatest tricks. You cannot sit idly and hope. Just as a farmer must plant, water, and cultivate before harvest, you must act daily on your vision. Thought directs, faith fuels, persistence carries, but action executes. And here is where gratitude transforms everything. Gratitude is faith expressed. Gratitude is proof that you already believe. When you give thanks not only for what you have, but for what is coming, you impress your subconscious with certainty. Gratitude tells your mind, I already live in abundance. And because your subconscious obeys, it begins to create conditions that reflect that belief. Emotion is another secret. Cold affirmations do little. But words spoken with passion, visualization done with feeling, gratitude expressed with joy, these reach the subconscious deeply. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the impression, the stronger the attraction. And when you persist long enough, attraction becomes inevitable. Delay is not denial. Waiting is not wasted. Every day of faith and persistence is building roots beneath the surface, preparing for a harvest that will come in time. Most people quit during this unseen stage. But the one who persists, who continues to believe, who continues to act, he will always see the results. So the real law of attraction is this. Become the person who already lives your dream. Think as they would think. Speak as they would speak. Act as they would act. Believe as they would believe. When you align your identity with your vision, the law has no choice but to deliver. Ask yourself, what am I attracting right now? Am I living in fear or in faith? Am I speaking doubt or destiny? Am I persisting in action or drifting in delay? Because the law is always at work. The only question is whether it is working for you or against you. And if you dare to align your thoughts with faith, your emotions with gratitude, your actions with persistence, and your purpose with destiny, you will attract a life beyond anything you have imagined. Napoleon Hill's work has outlived him by nearly a century, and still it continues to ignite minds, transform lives, and stir controversy. Few authors in history have had such a lasting influence. Think and Grow Rich has sold more than 100 million copies. The Law of Success is still studied in universities and boardrooms. Outwitting the Devil, suppressed for over 70 years, now speaks to a generation hungry for truth. And yet, Hill himself remains a mysterious figure. Did he really spend decades under the guidance of Andrew Carnegie, interviewing the giants of his time? Some historians doubt it. Others insist his claims were exaggerated. Critics point to gaps in his story. Admirers argue it doesn't matter, because the real proof of his work is not in his biography, but in the results it produces. And those results are undeniable. Millions have applied Hill's principles and broken free from poverty, fear, and mediocrity. Leaders across industries credit his words as the spark that launched their journeys. His writings continue to remind us that success is not reserved for the privileged. It is a science, a law, a way of thinking and living available to anyone willing to persist. But here is what makes Hill's legacy truly powerful. He was not perfect. He struggled. He failed. He faced setbacks, criticism, and doubt. He was human. And maybe that is why his message resonates so deeply, because he did not preach from perfection, he taught from persistence. His life itself became proof that you can stumble, fall, and still rise again if you refuse to quit. Outwitting the Devil reveals this side of him most clearly. In it, Hill unmasks drifting as the devil's greatest weapon, fear as the strongest prison, and persistence as the ultimate key to freedom. He portrays the devil not as a mythical creature, but as the voice of doubt inside us all. His boldness was too controversial for 1938, so the book was locked away until 2011. Today, it speaks louder than ever, because the same forces of fear and distraction still enslave millions. So what is Hill's true legacy? It is not about whether every story was literal. It is about the lives changed by his principles. His legacy lives in every person who defines their purpose, feeds their faith, disciplines their mind, and persists until they succeed. His legacy is in you, if you choose to live it. And that brings us here, because this message is not about Napoleon Hill. It is about you, your faith, your persistence, your purpose, your decision. Will you drift, or will you decide? Will you surrender to fear, or will you rise with faith? Will you quit, or will you persist until you win? Your future is not waiting in some distant place. It is being written right now, in your thoughts, in your actions, in your decisions. The same law that worked for every great achiever will work for you, if you apply it. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you will work it. So what will your legacy be? Will you be remembered as someone who surrendered to excuses, or as someone who persisted into destiny? Will you live small, or will you awaken the power within you and live a life that inspires others long after you're gone? The choice is yours. Back-end index pointing right. And if this message has spoken to you, if you feel that fire inside, don't let it fade. Act now. Subscribe to this channel, Napoleon Inspires, and join a community of dreamers, doers, and believers who refuse to quit. Every week, we share wisdom, inspiration, and the timeless principles of Napoleon Hill to help you persist until your dream becomes reality. Don't just watch, commit. Don't just listen, live it. Don't just drift, decide. Hit that subscribe button right now, and let's rise together. Because your destiny is not waiting in the future. It begins the moment you decide to persist.